The family history bit, I have to say, was quite interesting. Have you ever
Oh,
had the fear of, having somebody in your family being like I don't know, a slave owner or something like that? You know what I mean? Like, it's just-
yeah, I know. When they were talking about the
I know
family, I think
I've
that was in the episode 7 podcast, though. So I think we're getting a no, sorry, episode 6. Sorry, I went back. I stand corrected. It's in the episode 6 podcast that they talk about, like
and
Dennis
this is
talks
episode
about
6.
his mom and grandma. Yeah, sorry. I was going back and forth on the podcast and the episodes, and my notes are mixed too.
Oh, I see. But yeah,
So I got confused. Yeah, definitely. But I thought you were gonna ask a different question because they also
what did
talk
you think
about
I'm gonna ask?
in episode 6 in the podcast, the It's Always Sunny boys talk about, oh, did you want to, like, were you scared that your parents, how your parents would react to seeing the show and these kind of things, because they talk about Dennis talks about how his parents were very Catholic
Uh,
and all this. So I thought you were going to
I
ask
think
me
that's
like,
I'm pretty sure because I just listened to it. That's the episode 7 of their podcast. That's not episode 6. In episode
oh,
6, they talk about family like getting rejected by girls and all that. If you
yeah, I
remember.
mean, that's a theme that that goes through all of the podcast episodes premium for season 1. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought you were more going with that
Uh,
question, which is like,
but
are you ever
anyway,
scared of, like, family and all that reaction? And I was just gonna say no.
to our show or
No,
our
to
shows
anything,
for
to
people who don't know, we
anything.
have other shows too.
Yeah, to anything. And only because once I went
That's a good
vegan,
topic. Let's.
I ate
It's
all the shit humanly possible for left and right. And after that, like, just nothing. It's just like
don't
nothing
ruin.
sticks. All right, Sam, as always, we got carried away. Let's at least announce what episode we're gonna be watching and all this. And again, in 10 minutes, we can get completely carried away. Or probably like a minute and
Uh,
10 seconds.
we will get carried away. It's not like the ability we have. It's just something that happens to us. But yes, we are watching episode 6 of season 1 after watching the episode and listening to the podcast by the creators of It's Always Sunny and the crew, some of the cast. And yeah, I mean, yeah, we're gonna basically watch it. We're gonna tell everybody as soon as we hit play and talk a bit about it and the podcast they produced. So that's the gist of it. But and also there is also controversial stuff about Cameo's personal life with fights with his family, which nobody know. Hopefully, people don't know what this is about. It's been cut from the cold open, and it's really important controversial stuff. It's not just about like really food and nothing else.
Okay, we need to start a food channel now that I think about it. For that, I would have content
That's
and stories for days. It would
I'm up for
just
that actually. It's a huge market, man. You get like 1/10%, you're set for life.
but but I mean
So,
that market though, I mean, it's exactly, there's so many people that there's no such thing of like filming bad quality or not having good sound or something. I feel like all of them are just like
that it's
top
purely
level.
it no, it's purely content driven. It's not no gimmicks.
Mm.
Gimmicks doesn't play that much. To be fair though, I do think that's a bit of an internet thing, just in general. Like seriously, since I mean, not to get too philosophical and political about anything, but I have to say I really love what internet has done to media production personally. Just
By improving the
putting it
quality,
that way.
you
But
mean, or?
yes,
Mm.
I'm improving the content rather than the aesthetics. If not that this is a dichotomy, not that I'm saying that, but I do think there is much more. I mean, you can see it with the rise of podcasting, to be honest, that this, by the way, is also a podcast. That that like I don't know if you know this, but there are more audio listeners than there has ever been before. I think even as a proportion of the population. And I
Makes
and
sense, and
radio, I think you can ask writers, more professional writers and more experienced writers, but I think it's true, and I've heard this, that in radio and in audio, purely audio format, it's much more content and qualitative based, or what I like to call qualitative rather than aesthetic and stuff. So I'm sure I'm exaggerating.
On that
But
note,
yeah, I think
should
we
we
should
press
get
play?
to the show. Yeah.
So you're on 10:25
Yes.
a.m. 3.
I'm on 0. It's black.
Yeah. So
But counts me down. Yeah.
yeah. 3, 2, 1, go.
You're being
Oh,
ridiculous.
shoot.
All good.
Sorry, I have to.
By the way, do you know who they're referring to
I
in this
forgot
first
to.
scene? That Max says he wants to go
Oh,
break
yeah,
his arm. Do you know who that guy is?
They mentioned the name, but
Yeah.
I from their podcast I realized they're talking about that super like athletic guy who, I believe what I know, because people, I mean, if you check out our other content, will know we have a political, that type of podcast. He was somebody who was okay with Trump. That's pretty much all I know about him. Is that true?
I don't even know that. Let's not get it. Yeah, I was gonna go a different direction. Yeah, I mean, he's like, probably, I don't know anything about American football, but I know him. He's like the most famous, and he's the guy. He's called a quarterback, or whatever. He's the guy who gets the ball and throws it. And it just made me think some things are crazy. Like back then, this guy was someone, and he's still. No, it has nothing to do with other sports. I mean, American football is just so different. There's no point in trying to understand it with other sports. But yeah, Mac's wife, Dee, says that she thinks Tom Brady would kick Mac's ass. Potentially.
What?
I don't know.
Wow.
Because he's not necessarily a fighter,
American,
and he's not an American football player in that sense. He's not this big fat guy here who's getting run into somebody else. He's actually being defended, so he gets the ball here and he throws it. So of course he can take tackles and all that.
He's not so much of like the muscle of the team. He's more of a runner.
Yes,
but I would assume, I don't know. I mean, these guys, the defenders are huge, and in comparison now, perhaps he looks to us kind of thinnish, or I assume he's huge, man.
Yeah, but I don't know, if he doesn't know fighting, I'll take my chances again.
Is this your attempt to make our channel popular by having controversial opinions? Like, Bruce Lee, I could take him. Bruce Lee, nothing.
Listen,
a lot of people.
Listen.
Oh my God!
There might be
no.
He's one guy who's like, oh my God, I love the way Charlie's cleaning up the dead man.
Oh yes,
what the hell? He's made plastic. But that's a good idea, man.
This reminded me of
a plastic.
But this, there was a punk movement in the UK in '60s. Who are those guys who sang the
Sex Pistols?
The Witch is Dead. Sex Pistols, yes. I believe them. One of my sociology teachers told me that they started a trend that people would sort of wear rubbish bins as clothes. So it really reminded me of that.
It's too funny.
By the way, this is like the first, I feel like the first time we get a real glimpse of the Dennis's sort of unscrupulous sort of, what do you say?
This is a horrible,
unscrupulous hitting behavior. I don't know how to describe it.
So this girl has come in because she found out that her grandpa has passed away at the bar, and she just wants to
I forgot
hire
that's
goodbye,
her,
and that's her. I mean, this is a sorry for the quality. She's pretty hot too.
Sorry,
you're going in that direction.
Wow. Okay. No, I wasn't, but thank God you did. But she is quite attractive, I would say. Is she, by the way, how old would you say she's? I think 28 plus, right?
That's a very good question, although I would 100% not be surprised if she's 23, 24.
Completely off. buying an actress that has like she's also a good actress, by the way. She
Oh
was
yeah.
fantastic. Like pay her yeah, but yeah, I found her very attractive. But I would say I did not think she looks like that person's granddaughter. That person didn't look that old. I thought that person could be her dad, sorry.
I guess,
The
man. You know,
from
people can
the,
have kids at a young age, and she could easily be just 22.
sure, sure.
Yeah, no, this year you
Yes.
really see like Dennis
22, that's yeah,
try that.
Dennis. Oh my
And
God.
man,
I love how Dennis completely throws Mac
yeah.
under the bus. Like not even like a second thought. By the way, in our previous episode, if people have listened, you said that they're lying about the fact that Mac gay thing they had planted it
I was
from early
joking.
on,
Yeah.
and I pushed back and I said no, no, and you were joking, but I genuinely now I'm pretty sure like no, come on, they're lying. They
Yeah.
100% planned it. Like there is way like I had not watched the first season ever since I first watched it because of lack of Danny DeVito, to be honest. But now rewatching it, it's almost like every episode there is so many fucking clues.
Yeah.
There is so many. It's
No,
unbelievable
100%. Unless your other theory also stands, now that I also listened to episode 6 and 7 of the podcast, which is the whole
that they.
Christianity and the Christian angle too, which seems to have been a big part of all of their lives and poking fun of that and making fun of that. So it could be understood through that angle. But yeah, I
I
agree.
was going to save this for the next episode because that's more to do with Catholic Church. But I do say this. I was surprised by their like both of their familiar, and this is something you mentioned in our cold open, their familiar sort of uh, relative conservatism. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? They seem to at least both Glenn and
I
Mac
mean,
seem to come from somewhat conservative
and they
background.
all went to Catholic schools, but man, I think I don't know. I just want to on the East
That's
Coast
a
of the
no,
US,
but that's
Catholic
yeah.
schools in Canada
It's
seem to be extremely
in,
common. Like I had a lot of friends in the University of
exactly.
Canada who
No,
went to Catholic school. Like that's just like a
it's the
normal
same in
public
London.
school. Mm.
It's the same in London. The thing, no, it's not. It's just, and the people in media
Mm.
and frankly, rich people or successful people, because Catholic schools are very good in STEM subjects or
Mm.
like, let's say traditionally career, like, medicine
Yeah.
related science, natural sciences. So yeah, a lot of people who are not, I have many friends in UK who are not, religious at all, but parents insisted on them going to Catholic schools or
Yeah.
religious schools,
Which makes sense. But you're right.
evangelic,
Beyond that, their families
angelic.
are religious. And Dennis, is it Dennis or yeah, it's Dennis or Mac. I think it's Dennis.
Dennis,
And he even says that his grandma told the people at the nursing home that she couldn't possibly have a daughter because
yeah,
she's never had
Dennis,
sex.
yeah, that was. But how did she explain having so she denied having grandchildren?
Yeah, I
What
guess
was
so,
going
or
on
something like that.
there? She was that was that was so that was so funny. She was yeah, I don't have that. I have to say though, this episode I think probably my least favorite episode of the episode 6 is
100%.
my least favorite episode of the season.
Completely
Really? You
agree.
agree?
Yeah. And I kept on
How
forgetting what
come?
it's about. Like I've watched it twice in the last few days. Like the dead man story, I get kind of like um forget about it a bit. The grandpa thing, Dennis's grandpa being a
I feel
Nazi and
two
stuff
problems.
is a little bit funny, but yeah, go ahead. I'm actually curious to hear.
Before, sorry, I had two major problems. I just want to lay it out before you go more into the. Sorry to cut you off. My
Yes.
two problem was that I feel the Nazi grandpa story was extremely good, but they didn't develop it far enough, in my view. And I wish,
Mm.
like a lot of other running things, they went back to it. And I don't think, in the end, we'll get to the ending, and I'll talk about that. And the ending, I don't think works very well, and it's because of the Nazi thing. second thing, and they talk about it on their podcast. Did you hear? They said this was the first episode we tried to do a funny thing with Deep from the very beginning.
Yep, yep, yep,
And
yep.
I really think like they really, as I told you before, I think It's Always Sunny lives in that fantastic in between place that it's not real world, but it's in real, like Looney Tunes, some things happen to them. But I feel with D not liking old people, they just went a bit too far for me. It was just such a, like, and the hand, that grandpa putting the hand later on in the show
Yeah.
in the mouth, it was just weird. It was just didn't, you know what I mean? I just couldn't connect. Unlike the next episode, which the
The next
weirdness is
episode
so
is
good, the
absolutely
best
terrific, and
of
you
the
can
first
even
season.
tell it's terrific in one way based on how many of those characters come back and become staples
Come
of the
back,
show.
exactly.
Interestingly, Mac had
Which is,
different
it
opinions.
was interesting. Yeah, exactly. They
But
disagree.
yeah, but what's this thing of
Especially.
being scared of old people or old people phobia? I guess I had heard of it
You agree
before.
with me that it's a bit, well, I think they were trying to go for something that is extremely stupid but exaggerated and funny. And I mean,
Yeah,
very, like, as a very, very amateurish wannabe
yeah.
comedian, kind of understand it. But at the same time, I don't think it worked here. But it works other places when they do, for example, Mac and Charlie's obsession with cat food. That's equally ridiculous, but it kind of
No,
works. You know
man,
what I
I've
mean?
never seen that. That's the funniest thing I've ever heard. The way that they would eat cat food.
No, no, but it's
Yeah.
no, but it's equal as
Yeah.
ridiculous as being afraid of like
But
old people, like
I don't
rats,
know. It's
like
different. It's
these.
much more
But it
like
works for some reason.
interesting. Like someone in Friends could be scared of
Why?
old
Well,
people.
why? Explain to
It's
me why
kind
is
of
it
like
more
a
interesting?
safe thing because the cat food. Who's ever thought of that? That someone eats cat
But
food
who's
and
ever
then
thought of
passes
being
out.
afraid?
That's a thing. I think like scared of old people. I think
Oh, is it? Phobia. Put phobia of.
gerontophobia is the fear of old people or the elderly.
I
Elderly.
wonder what even is the first mention of that. It sounds like one of the bourgeois
But you
diseases that
hear it. I don't care. I mean,
psychiatrists.
regardless of that, it's still common. But I want you to go find somebody
Is it? Have you
who
heard?
I mean, there's a
About
page.
this?
Is there a Wikipedia page on eating cat food? Passing.
I know there is a page about humans eating baby food, but
Oh,
that's
I mean,
still
baby food's
human
delicious.
eating cat food. But man, I tell you one story that
I mean, I'd
my
eat baby
because
food. You see, it doesn't have a wiki. Of course, there are Google
yes.
entrances.
Oh wow. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't have. I have to say, I have a very, very young nephew. He's 7 years old now. He's gonna be 17 exactly a month. I have recently I'm feeding some cats in our grandparents' house, and my nephew comes over, and because cat food, if you buy the cans, wet cat food, their smell is very strong, so I guess it attracts the
Yeah.
cats or something. And as soon as I open them, my nephew is like, "Can I have them?" And I'm like, "No, it's cat food." And he's like, "No, buddy, they smell so good." And he's like, so yes, you see.
You see,
Oh, by the way,
you
this
know
is
someone.
Charlie just opening the box. And I found
Yeah.
this whole thing but the funniest part of this episode for me was this part when they're at the funeral and
Yeah.
Charlie calls Mac in a bit
No.
and he's like, "It's an emergency, you have to come."
I know. And you also see an open casket, so nobody worry about this picture. This is apparently a serial killer.
I
So
wanted
we
to
can
talk
look at
about
this.
that too.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, have you ever been? I've never been to a open casket funeral. I guess I've just been to a couple of funerals in my life. I guess they all involve
I've
Iranian people, and they don't do that. I've been to like two, so I guess.
No, Iranian Islamic tradition is more similar to Jewish tradition, in which, if people are familiar, perhaps, they wrap the dead in a cloth, in a white cloth written. Some people have a specific prayers written and all that, and then they bury them. I have not, obviously. I've never been to a Christian burial. I've been to for my uncle passed away less than a year ago, and before that my grandparents, grandpas. But for my uncle, in Islam you don't usually. It's actually it's kind of, what do you say? It's like it's not a sin, but it's not recommended to,
Mm.
it's kind of like the
Okay.
Jewish thing.
Yeah.
It's better not to see, but somebody has to go in and confirm that the Islamic prayers are read, and I was the one who did that for my uncle, so I got to see him passed
I
away.
see.
And then I have to say, my grandmother, though, when they were burying my uncle, she did open up the thing, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's very sad when a child passes before their
Oh,
parents. So,
definitely.
but
But
yeah, I
so
would
you're
say,
also saying that you have a religious background then?
uh, Jesus Christ.
I mean, it sounds
No,
like you grew up
okay.
next to Dennis's house. There was the Muslim house and there was the Catholic house. You guys
No,
were
I
neighbors.
am, yes, I, that's what I wanted. I was gonna talk about my grandparents, both of them, and I, I have to say, I come from. It's quite fun. Both of my grandparents can be described as extremely conservative liberals. In a very much a FDR American. If you want to put them in a category, but one of them is very religious.
Mm.
One of
Oh,
them is
okay, really?
very religious. It's very well. One of them is the sort of agnostic deist, type, which is
I
very
mean,
irreligious for her generation. And then another one is, prays 3 times a day for Shias, and all the usual,
yeah,
you know,
I see.
different.
Interesting.
So I don't. Your
I know one of
grandmas
them,
are
like I
both
know for
alive?
sure one of them, like my grandma's, I know one of them for sure believes in God and all that, but I don't think she cares about Islam a
Mm,
lot. The other one, I don't know
no,
if she
yeah.
believes in God or all this at all or prays or anything, but she goes to Mecca every now and then.
Oh,
And
she definitely believes that.
but I can see her just like
Mecca
talking
is
shit about all this like crazy,
is
like more than
Islamic
the
Republic.
other one, yeah, or like other stuff.
No, that's
But
different
yeah,
though. In
no, but
Iran,
even yeah,
man,
yeah, no, I know.
especially in Iran,
I'm not trying to mix
clergy.
those
No,
two.
no, no. I
Yeah.
mean, besides the fact that Islamic Republic is a bad government, people are more
Mm.
irreligious than most people think. Blah blah blah. I would
The
say that
clergy is insane. Well.
there are a lot of people who are anti. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like the Protestantism thing that
Yeah.
they don't like, especially because I know you're back. We are both come from Turkic backgrounds, much more anti-clerical than other
Interesting.
backgrounds. Very,
Yeah,
yeah, very
I see.
anti.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What Muslim, but very believe in God. Like
Mm-hmm.
God, love God, don't like his bureaucracy. I have to say, we passed it. Sorry, we got distracted. I
Yeah.
wanted to talk about just briefly. I think that one of the things that it doesn't work for me. I think if it was in later seasons when Dennis would give this speech about Lionel, he would make
The
some
dead man.
extra step and he would destroy himself. Like, he
Yeah.
would go, his ego would get the better of himself. And in this, he's way too, he's usually too smart for his own good. But here
Yeah.
he was smart enough.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I
No, no,
might
no.
be talking too
Fair
much.
enough. And here they also talk about how, so they go and try to sell the Nazi uniform of Dennis's grandpa to this museum
Yes, yes.
and to this museum owner. And in the podcast they mentioned, this is kind of like one of the first times where, two or three of us go in front of
Yeah,
some
this,
kind of authority in an office and it's just like the biggest bullshit, like the things that they say. Although here they weren't too wrong. I mean, I might have had that idea, wouldn't a museum buy
yeah,
buy
to be
that
honest,
kind of
that's what
stuff? That
I was
wasn't the
gonna say.
wildest
Like
thing.
compared, yeah, that wasn't the wildest thing, I
Bird
have to
law
say.
at like a lawyer's
That's why
office,
it doesn't, like, that's another, like, it's we are reaching, we are getting closer to the end. By the way, this is the scene that doesn't work for me at all, with the grandpa putting
Mm,
his fingers inside these mouth and stuff. Like, even if you want to freak somebody out, which seems to be the grandpa's plan, you would think like burping, farting, or something like that would be
mm.
like more. I don't
I
know.
mean, fingers in your
Anyways,
mouth is as disgusting as it can get. So
Yes, yes, but it's just like it's just weird. Why would you
Yeah,
do that? It's just odd, you know.
I guess he was a
Sorry,
Nazi.
but getting to the end, like I don't understand why would Mac telling Dennis that his grandpa is a Nazi is a sort of own. I know it's a sad thing to
Very good
know,
point.
but it was your grandpa. It's not like my fault. Like you know, all like half of Germany that way has to what they should be upset because they're ancestors. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Maybe it just
Every
works in
oh,
the
I mean,
American context because, the thing of them having fought the Nazis is just such a big
no,
narrative and story. So
no, man.
maybe, yeah.
Most you know, German Americans are the have the highest. I mean, maybe now not because of the increase in Hispanic background people, but I know up to year 2000, 2005, people of German background are
Oh, sorry, folks. Sam is getting cut off there. Might have to cut this bit out and
the
come back.
most.
Oh, are you still
It's the
there?
most common heritage
Ah,
in
okay.
America.
You're back.
In fact, up to World War
Okay,
One,
sorry, you got cut off there.
German
Say
based.
that
It's World War
again.
One that changes that. So, um,
Okay, I understand that, but I understand. So you're making a historical, factual
oh,
point saying
where are
that
you? Oh,
a lot of Americans up to year 2000, having German ancestors was one of the bigger ones. Sure, that's all true, but that doesn't mean that the narrative that, oh, we fought the Nazis and we were and none of us were Nazis or anything like this is true. So I don't think that necessarily contradicts that narrative. Do you
okay,
understand what
all
I'm
right.
saying?
Good point. Good point. Yeah, yeah, very good. Can you hear me? By the way,
Yeah,
am I
yeah,
on a
yeah, yeah.
delay?
Yeah, yeah, no, I was just soaking
Oh, no,
that in,
no, very
that
good point.
victory.
No, you're right. And yeah, exactly. Even you're right because of the media sort of, let's say, creation of the fact of
Media
how
or
much
don't even, yeah, I wouldn't
important
even go
this
as far
is,
as
and
blaming media. There's like all narratives from school to
and,
parents.
and historical
Yeah,
relevance,
yeah,
not just. Yeah. I'm including. Yeah, exactly. And the actual importance of that
yeah.
war. I'm not trying
So
to minimize
someone who isn't
that.
like
But
into
no,
like
you're right. It's
politics and
just
history and all that will be like, oh my God, no, I can't believe it. My grandpa was a Nazi
yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever.
like yeah, exactly. For a lot, like yeah, if you're into politics, perhaps you even because you know about all the other wars. But
Mm.
if normal people, it's the worst thing. By the way, my episode is finishing. Yours the
Yeah,
same.
same. Yep.
And now it's moving to Charlie because there was a sudden cut, so I
Yeah.
don't know. I paused for a second, and now it's Charlie's eating his beans with a Nazi hat, and
And he
I
kept the
mean,
hat.
so so stupid.
I
Oh,
know.
so before moving, I mean, as the credit is rolling, and before completely moving on, there was one more topic I wanted to talk about on this episode. What do you think about the thing? They talk on their podcast about like the different attitudes towards getting rejected by the ladies. You've
Eh.
been, if for the new viewers, you've been married for about 500 years, so or in a relationship.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? I mean, it's hard for you to remember, but do you remember what was
Um,
your thing when you were young? They talk about their youth.
yeah, I mean, I never hit the stage where I would like ask people on dates and stuff, so I was never rejected like that. Like the only way I was rejected is when I was drunk enough at parties and I would try to hook up with someone and I wouldn't get them.
Mm.
I would kind of remember that. I'll send this question back to you, but the only interesting thing that comes to my mind is that I realized a long time ago that like when you're in a relationship and like a girl is just normal and being nice and friendly to you, and then you're like, oh yeah, if I wasn't with X, Y, and Z, I could have had this girl and that other girl was nice to me too, and this other girl too. But the thing is, since you're in a relationship, you never actually make the move, so you never get rejected. So you just keep on thinking like anybody who spoke with you, if they're
you
just
you
like
get to live in that fantasy.
100%, that's like the
I
only
mean,
thing that comes to my mind.
to be fair, and this is somewhat of a red line like I genuinely fucking hate cheaters. Some people
Oh,
don't care though. They go for it, I would say. I
yeah.
know so many. Like I was so surprised as you grow older that so many people are just don't give a shit.
I mean,
But
I don't hate them.
whatever.
I mean, if that's
But
what
no,
they
I
do
agree.
and
It's
both sides they do that or they're fine with it, I mean, like, good for them, I guess.
no, that
Yeah.
no. Open relationship is of
Yeah,
course fine,
no.
or if one side is, I guess, okay
Yeah.
with it. No, I don't like when it's hidden
Yeah.
or when it's done, I guess,
Yeah.
unscrupulously. I suppose
But I
I don't,
also don't have
I don't
problem
know.
with the
But
person who is like, not the one who's your wife or husband or boyfriend, girlfriend who is cheating. I mean, that's not their problem, like, who's like,
so I with
like let's
you mean like someone is married but is having an affair with somebody who is not married. You don't
no,
have a
no, no.
problem with the
I'm
person
just
who is
saying
not
it's
married.
not the problem of the person. Let's say I have my wife, right? And if someone comes and like
Let's say.
cheats with my wife, right? I mean, that person, I don't know. I don't know if I'll consider the other
Yeah,
person
it's not
necessarily a
their
good or bad
fault.
person. That's not, yeah, I mean, like, that's not their
Have
problem.
you, okay, let's get personal.
No.
Have you ever, if you, I mean, I agree with you. I completely agree with you. But in my experience, it's very hard to avoid that, avoid
Yeah,
the feeling. I mean, you don't,
for
like, you're
sure. No, no,
rational
you'll
putting
hate
aside,
them and all that. No,
but
no, no. This
yeah.
is from someone who's removed talking about it. If not, of course, the when you're in there, it's totally different. I'm talking from like a, third person looking from outside.
And by the way, I'm talking. I don't know if it specifically happened to me, but like from seeing a lot of people that it feels like it. I don't know. I don't think it's something they can
Yeah.
control.
But yeah, what do you
You
make
know what
of
I mean? Like,
rejection and all this?
oh, the rejection part. That's the thing, though. I'm with you on the 90% of times. It usually happens when you're drunk and they are drunk, and it's kind of like not really rejection.
Yeah,
You
you
know what I
can.
mean? Like
Yeah,
sort of
you can move
everybody
on
kind
much
of,
more easily. But
but
like
it is,
asking
you
on a
know what it
date
is.
or all this, I mean, I guess that's like a hard no if
That
someone says,
I've done that a couple of times, and I've been. I mean, it is. It's pretty personal, I would say. But you can move on. It's, I don't know. But what was Max said he would move on very. Who said they would go on a dark? I think it was Dennis who said they go on a
yeah,
dark
and they were
place or
like,
something.
oh, you would go on a dark path, like no wonder.
Surprise. But yeah, I don't know.
All right,
It's
we even have some
that's
topics
what
I
I wanted
didn't
to
touch, but I mean, I don't think they're important. I'll just leave them. They were small ones.
yeah, I would
I have to do this show alone,
say,
really,
I
to
was gonna say this.
to hit all the points.
If you have do you have anything about the? No, I mean, yeah, that's the thing. And I would say still, this is my least favorite episode of the season.